Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So when you read the Quran, you find that when you come to the verses of marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends the verses by describing Himself. And I want you to just really ponder for a second how profound that is. Allah, when He tells you the rulings of marriage or the rights of the spouse or what is an ideal husband and what is an ideal wife, these verses about marriage, Allah ends them by describing Himself. He mentions His names that describe Himself. Why? What's the relationship here between Allah describing Himself and His names in the context of telling you what to do as a husband or as a wife? The connection is actually really profound. And it is that these names of Allah are not arbitrarily just placed at the end of these verses. But it's this description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you can actualize it inside of your heart and in your marriage, it will help you to fulfill and understand that which the verse is telling you to do in the first place. For example, if we go to the verse in Surah An-Nisa, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم فالصالحات قانتات حافظات للغيب بما حفظ الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you what a man should do for his wife and what a wife should do for a husband. At the end of the verse, Allah said, فَإِنْ أَطَعْنَكُمْ فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا. Allah ends the verse in which He tells you that this is what a man should do for his wife, this is what a wife should do for a husband. Allah ended the verse by telling you that He is the one who is high and He is the one who is great. What's the relationship between Him being high and Him being great and the rights of a husband and wife? You see, there's a very beautiful lesson here. When a husband has rights to fulfill, i.e. his wife has rights that she needs from a husband to be fulfilled and vice versa, either one of them may oppress. They may oppress the opposite. Because maybe they have some control in that relationship. Maybe they have a power trip. Maybe they have some control. For example, the husband, he dominates the wife. He says to her, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Look what the verse says. And he starts to oppress her. Maybe he violates her. He may even abuse her. Allah reminds him at the end of the verse, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا. Allah is the one who is high. Just because you're a husband, you're strong, Allah gave you these rights, doesn't mean that you take advantage of it. Don't think that you're so high that you're higher than Allah. Allah is higher than you. And don't think that because you're strong and you can dominate your wife and you may do whatever you want to do to her, that you're great, because Allah is greater than you. So a person who has these rights over their spouse, they will be scared of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to the way that they deal with their spouse. Because they always keep it in the back of their mind. Allah is higher than me and greater than me. I wasn't given these rights to abuse my spouse. I was given them for a greater benefit that comes out of us mutually giving and receiving these rights from one another. But at the same time, I was given a warning, or a warning was indicated to me at the end of the verse where my rights were given to me. Not to be abusive, because Allah is higher than me and Allah is greater than me. And this is very similar for many of the other verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned another verse. Allah said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرًا. My brothers and sisters, when you learn these names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Ali, Al-Kabir, Al-Ghafur, Al-Rahim, they have been mentioned for a reason in the context of that ruling of marriage. If you internalize that name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly and understand it and live with it, it will make it easier for you to live up to the ruling that has been given to you. Does that make sense? Because some of us, we take the ruling and we don't understand the spirit of the ruling. We don't understand the context of the ruling. And sometimes we may abuse. Sometimes there may be something which is hard for us to do. But Allah mentioned a name at the end of the verse that is a motivator for you to have a relationship with that name of His, or to have a benefit of that which comes from that name. Does that make sense? Perhaps mercy, perhaps forgiveness. So learning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names makes you a better husband and wife. That's the point I wanted to make. Learning the names of Allah, the descriptions of Allah, makes you a better slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there was a marriage course, everyone would run to it. If there was an aqidah course, people don't come to it. But they don't realize the better your aqidah, the better your marriage. The better your aqidah, the better your marriage. For that reason, we decided to put together a 30-day program on the Knowledge College. It's called Allah's Rights and the Wedding Night. It's basically a 30-day program where we go through 2 books, a book on Aqidah and Manhaj and a book on marriage. Aqidah, Manhaj being the creed, the correct creed of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, which goes above and beyond just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names and attributes, even though that's a primary part of it. But we're going to learn in there also ibadah, dhikr, manners. We're going to learn other chapters of Manhaj and Aqidah as well, and marriage. And the book on marriage is by Imam Albaani called Adab al-Zafaf. It's basically a book that he wrote for one of his students when he was getting married. And the book actually starts off with the wedding night. And the reason it starts off with the wedding night is because that is the beginning of the relationship between a husband and wife. Now, it doesn't go through an A to Z of everything that a husband and wife needs to know, but it goes through the beginning elements, the wedding night. It goes into the intimacy. It goes into, we're going to also then, above and beyond that, we're going to mention the rights of the spouse and some advices. And then it goes into the next day, which is the walima, the wedding ceremony. Something that people get so wrong. You know, people who are practicing get it wrong. So these 2 things, marriage and manhaj, coming together, inshallah ta'ala, will help you to have a holistic understanding of marriage. Because number 1, you'll get the ruling, which is mentioned in the verse. And then also you understand the manhaj, the methodology of how to deal with the name. It's not a course that goes to Allah's names and attributes in detail. Allah's names and attributes are discussed in it, definitely. But it's an overview of manhaj, of aqidah, generally speaking. So you remember, you can't, Allah says, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. We don't want to be those who take a part of aqidah and leave off another part of aqidah. So we have to take it holistically. And also marriage, inshallah ta'ala, this will be our journey studying marriage, and our journey starting the study of manhaj. So the registration, inshallah ta'ala, is closing in about 2.5 days, if I'm not mistaken. Click the link below, inshallah ta'ala, and register ASAP, and hopefully we see you on the other side. Assalamu alaikum, peace.